So hey guys, welcome back in the Spring Boot DevOps live project. So today we are going to set up the SonarQube server on the Docker server. And to set up the SonarQube server on the Docker server, first we are going to set up the Docker server on the Linux machine. And for this Linux machine, I am using the AWS free tier account. And in this AWS free tier account, we are going to create a EC2 Linux machine, which is the free for us to use. And after that, we will install the Docker on this AWS Linux 2 machine, or we can set up the Linux 2023 latest machine. And once the Docker is installed, then I will give you the overview about the Docker Hub, what is the Docker Hub, and how we can use the Docker Hub to pull the SonarQube image for our use. And once the Docker server is ready, then we will create a container for the SonarQube by using the Docker image for the SonarQube. And after that, we will set up some SonarQube volume. And why we need the SonarQube volume, that I'm going to explain. And once everything is done, then we will start the SonarQube container. And when this container will start, after that we will able to access the SonarQube web portal. So this is the complete setup we are going to do in this lecture, Docker plus the SonarQube. And it will be very easy to set up the SonarQube on the Docker container. And then how we can integrate the different type of the DevOps tools like the GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and the Azure DevOps. And then we can start performing the code quality analysis. We are going to cover in this lecture. So let me switch to our system. So here first we need to create a AWS Linux machine because we want to set up the Docker server on this Linux machine. You can use other operating systems also. So I'm going to quickly create a AWS Linux machine. So I'm going to create a. So first let me click on the launch instances. And after that, here we need to provide the Docker server name. So Docker, I'm giving the Docker server, provide the name Docker server for SonarQube. And the application, we select the Linux machine and we will select the Amazon Linux 2023 AMI. This is the latest AMI machine from the Amazon. And then we can see the architecture is very important. So we will select the 64-bit and this will be our first username. This is the EC2 user, and initially we will select the t2.micro, and this is the free tier eligible, so I'm going to select this one. Then here we need to select the key pair, so we can use the existing key pair, or we have already the key pair available for our use. So here I'm selecting the new AWS demo key, so I'm going to select this one. You can create a new key pair by clicking on this link. And if you scroll down, you can see the network setting. So here we already have the SSH traffic, so it will be from the anywhere. And if you scroll down, it is the configuration storage is the 8 GB is enough for our use. And now this is the free tier eligible customer can get up to 30 GB. And now this setting is enough. Now let me launch the instance. Okay, so we have initiated the one instance. So I'm going to click on this instance link, and then you can see this instance will be in the running mode. So here it is loading the instance settings, and now this will be your instance ID, and this is in the pending state. And if you go and refresh this one after 5 to 10 seconds, it will be in the running mode. So meanwhile, let me open the mobile XTEM, so by which we can access this Linux machine. So let me launch this mobile XTEM. Is a terminal. Using this terminal, we can create sessions for this Linux machines. So now first let me refresh this one. Now this is in the running mode. So first select this one, and after that here you can see this is public IP address 4. So I'm going to select this public IP address, and now I'm going to access it. So create a new session, go to SSH, enter the host name, specify the username to, and the advanced SS settings, use the private key. So whatever private key we have selected, so we have selected the new AWS demo key, which I have already created and saved on my local system. So I'm going to select the same. Right, so now you can see we have successfully connected with the Amazon Linux 2023 machine. Alright, so first let me clear this one. And now here we are with the EC2 minus user. So if I go and switch to the root user, sudo su minus, so I am on the root user. So this is my machine. So now how we can set up the Docker on this machine from the starting. So if you go and see our intro part of this one, so we have successfully set up the Linux VM on this AWS machine. Now on this AWS Linux 2023 machine, we are going to install or the set up the Docker. So let me go to the machine now. Here if you go to the Google, and here if you search install Docker on AWS, if you search this one, you will see this is the first link, installing the Docker to use with the AWS same CLI. And if I go to this link and if you scroll down, I can see this is the Linux operating system tab is there. So I'm going to click on this one now. Here I can see some commands are there. We need to follow these simple commands to set up the Docker. So to install the Docker on Amazon Linux 2 or the Amazon Linux 2023 machine, these are the two version of the Amazon AMI machine. So we are using the Amazon Linux 2. So the first we need to update the machine. So I'm going to copy this command and come to your terminal, and you can paste it here. So you can also remember yum update -y, and then it is going to update with new dependencies. So nothing to do, complete the command execution. So now this is for the Amazon Linux 2. You can run with the Amazon Linux Extras package. With the EPL package you need to set up, and after that you can install the Docker directly. But for the Amazon Linux 2023 machine, so we are going to run this command so that we can install the Docker. So sudo yum install -y docker. So let me go to our terminal. We already with the root user, so we no need to type the sudo again. So you can type the yum install -y and you can type the Docker. This is the command, and enter. Now you can see here it is installing the Docker, and you can see this is the containers Docker installing in the mode. Now here you can see this is Docker 25.0 Amazon Linux. This is the package they are installing on this machine. So Docker 25.0.6 version is there. So this is Amazon Linux 2023 machine 86 and 64 package. Now you can see this is complete, and this is the installed everything. So these are the packages they have installed on this machine. So this is the Docker package they have installed on this machine. So let me clear this one. Now we are under the root user. So let me go to the browser. Now it is asking the start the Docker service. So you can start the Docker service with this command. So if I want to start the Docker service, I can see service Docker and start. Okay, when you write this command service Docker start, the Docker will be started. And now if you want to check the status, you can type service Docker status. So when you type this command, you can see this is the status is successful, and you can see this is starting the Docker services. So they are starting the Docker container and the application engine here, and these are the starting. These are messages the starting and up. Type the Control-C, then you will be on the terminal back. Now what will be the next step? So let me go to the browser. Now here it is asking the add the user EC2 to the Docker group so that you can run the Docker commands without the sudo. So user mode -a and -g, this is the Docker group, and you can add this user. So I'm going to copy this command, and then you can paste it here. Now here we have added the EC2 minus user. So if I go and switch to su minus EC2 hyphen user, and if I run the Docker command docker ps, so you can see this user can execute the Docker command. That means you have added the EC2 minus user in this Docker group. Alright, so this is EC2 minus user is the user. Now let me see the available containers. So you can see the docker ps command will use to give you all the containers on this Docker, and if you write the docker ps -a, it will give you all the running containers. So as of now we don't have any running container. Alright, so now here let me go to the Docker hub, and we'll give you the overview about that. So I'll go to the browser, and here I will type the Docker hub, and you can see this is a Docker hub container image library app containerization. So I'm going to click on this link, and this is the Docker Hub, and under this Docker Hub you can search the different type of the images. So this is the Docker Hub. So we have created the Docker. Now we want to create a container. So to create a container we need an image. So I came here to dockerhub.com, and under the dockerhub.com, and we have the Docker Hub. So here I'm going to search the SonarQube. So when you search with the SonarQube, you can see this is the SonarQube here, and open source and continuous code quality. So this is your official image. So I'm going to click on this link, SonarQube, and here you can see this is a Docker official image is this. So you need to pull this image, and this is the command docker pull SonarQube is the command. You can use this command and you can pull the image. And if you want to the latest version, this is the community edition. So 9 community LTS community is the latest version we can use. Here we have the docker pull SonarQube. So to pull the image from this Docker Hub, you no need to sign in or you no need to create an account. If you want to push an image, the image which you have created, and if you want to push the Docker Hub repository, you need to create an account and sign in. But here we need to pull an existing image. This is the official image, so we don't need to create an account. So directly I can use this command. So I'm going to copy this command, come here and right click here and just enter docker pull SonarQube. So you can see the tag is the latest. So by default it is pulling the latest SonarQube version, and this will be the image. So it will take time to download and pull the. Alright, so you can see this is the SonarQube latest is Docker image is pulled already. So if I run the Docker images, I can see this is the one repository, and this is the tag name is the latest, and this is the size, and we have created this image ID. So this is the latest SonarQube image is there now. And if I see docker ps -a, I don't get any container because we didn't create an container, and we didn't start any container on this Docker server. So if I go and see here, we just come to know what is the Docker Hub. Now let's create a container for the SonarQube. So from this Docker Hub, we have pull the image. We just pull the image. Alright, and this step we have covered already. Now we need to create a container for the SonarQube, and for that I will come to the terminal. Let me clear these things. Now here you can see there is no running container, even there is no container on this Docker server. So how can we create a container? So to create a container we need to use some commands. So first let me see the images. So these are the images. So now to create a Docker container, we can use the run command. So docker run, and -d is the detach mode we are going to use, --name, and the name is the sonar container. So this is the sonar container, and now we need to specify the port number. So the sonar is running on the 9000 port number. Okay, but we need to specify the port number where your Docker is running. So externally it is running on, we can use the same port number, and internally the SonarQube is running on the 9000 port number, and externally the Docker server is running on this 9000 port number, or you can mention the 9001 port number. So let me change this one. So I'm going to make it the 9001 is the external port number, and internally it is running on the 9000 port number. And now here we need to specify the image. So whatever image we have done, so you can see this is the tag name is the latest, and if you want to use the SonarQube, you can write the SonarQube here. So this is the repository name. Now enter. Okay, so --- is not the right command, so let me remove this one hyphen from here. Now enter. Now you can see there is the one container is already created. So this is the container ID. So if now you can see it is loading the remote monitoring and please wait. So we hang with this Docker server which we have created on the AWS Linux 2 machine, because we know the SonarQube is required at least 4 GB RAM, and after that we can set up the SonarQube here. That's why it is hanged with this less of the memory, and as per our knowledge the SonarQube is required at least 4 GB free RAM, and then only we can run, and it is first let me go to the AWS EC2 Linux machine. So first I'm going to stop this machine because we are using the T2.micro, and with the T2.micro we get only the less than 1 GB RAM, and that's why it is loading the remote monitoring. Please wait. So you will be stuck here and you cannot continue with your task. So now let me go and change this T2 micro to T2 medium, and it will be very less charging, and you will be charged by the very less money that you can pay even with the 3 paisa 4 paisa per hour. Okay, so here I am going to first stopping this AWS machine, then I will switch to the T2.medium, and after that we will restart the Docker server. So let me wait when it is in the stopping mode. So this is in the stopped instant state. So now let me right click on this one, and here if you see the instance type and change the instance type, you will see this option. Now here I'm going to type that T2.medium. So I'm going to select this one, and it will be the chargeable with this dollar. This is the very less money, and if you scroll down you just change it. Okay, so this is changed to the T2.medium. So now I'm going to start the instance again. You no need to do anything, everything will be the same, only the instance type will be changed. So when you change from T2.micro to T2.medium, you will keep all the configurations whatever you have done on this machine, but the RAM size will be increased for your use. Now this is in the running state, so this is the IP address. I'm going to copy and let me start a new session again. Right, so I connected with this machine again. Now let me, so it will be the EC2 minus user. We can use this user, and if I go and run the Docker images, I can see there is one image is there. And now if I see the Docker PS, and if I see Docker PS minus A, I can see there is the name of the SonarQube, and this is created 5 minutes ago and exited. So you can see the conflict. The container is already in use by the container. So we have already this container. That means we need to start the container. Let me find the container Docker PS minus A. So this is the container ID. So I'm going to copy this container ID, and then I'm going to type the Docker start, and you can enter this container ID. That means the container was already there, so you cannot create the second container with the same name, right? So now I'm going to start this container. You can see the container is already started. So if I type Docker PS minus A, you can see the status is up within 7 seconds. Okay, it was created the 7 minutes ago. Now the status is up and running. So you can see the container is up and running. That means your SonarQube server is up and running. Now here you can see this is the RAM, 3.81 GB is the RAM. Alright, so now your container is up and running. That means your SonarQube is up and running. So I'm going to access the SonarQube server. So let me go to this IP address. Now here I'm going to enter this one, and if I enter the 9000 port for my SonarQube server, because it is running on the 9000 port internally, and externally it is 9001, right? So here if I type http:// I can see I am not able to access this site. The SonarQube site is cannot be reached. So now how can we resolve this one? So we need to go to the instance. Now here we need to expose the port number. So whatever port number we have used, we need to specify the port number. So I will go to the security and go to the security group. Under the security group, go to the inbound rules, edit the inbound rules. Now here you need to add some inbound rules. So here I'm going to use the custom TCP, and the port range we can specify 9000 to 9090. So we just open the nine port numbers, and this will be a custom. And here we need to specify the IP version 4, and now go and save the rules. So 9000 to 9090. So here you can see 9000 to 9090 we have opened the port numbers. So around 9 port numbers we have opened for our use. So if I go and refresh the reload this page, I can't see the 9000 we can access, because the 9000 we have provided here for the internal port number. So on the 9000, internally the SonarQube container is running, and externally the 9001 the SonarQube is up and running. So now I'm going to change this port number to 9001 and enter. I can see I can access externally this SonarQube server. You understood this logic? So internally our SonarQube container is running. So you can access this container on this 9000 port number. But externally the SonarQube server is running on 9001 port number. Now I can access this SonarQube server, and here I can log in with this initial admin username and the password. So I just log into the SonarQube server. Now here you need to change your password. So admin. So here the password will be, now you just enter the password and update the password. Welcome to the SonarQube server. The SonarQube server is the 24 version. Okay, we have set up the instructions, so I'm going to click on the later. Now here I'm going to skip, dismiss. All right. So now this is the SonarQube community edition is there. So if I go to the project, I can see all options from DevOps, GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, and Bitbucket server. So how we have done earlier with the local machine from the AWS machine, the SonarQube, like that you can integrate your project with the SonarQube here. And if I go to the administrations, if you go and see the DevOps platform tools, you can create a configurations how we are doing with the previous videos. So in the previous video, how we did for the GitHub, for the Azure DevOps, the create a configurations, then you can start the code analysis here. So this is very easy and simple. Like that you can set up the SonarQube official image. This is the latest image here, and then you can start performing the code quality analysis. And this is how you can set up the SonarQube on the Docker machine. So this we have completed. We have pulled the images. We just set up the, now we need to set up the SonarQube volumes. So if you go and see where is your Docker. Now let me clear. So if you want to stop the Docker, you just type the Docker stop, and the container name is the, or you can type the SonarQube. So there is no container with this one. So you need to find the Docker containers, Docker ps-a. You can see this is the container ID, and using this container ID, I'm going to stop this. Okay, so Docker container is already started. So if I go and see Docker status, Docker is up and running. So Docker is up and running, you can see, and there is the loading the container. So container we already stopped. Now we need to go to where my SonarQube and the Docker is there. So first type cd/where folder. Inside the where folder, you can see there is the lib folder is there. So I will go inside this folder, go to the cd lib. So we are inside the lib folder, and ll-a, you can see where lib Docker is there. So I will go inside the Docker. So this is the Docker directory. So there is a permission denied. So only the sudo su minus, with this command we can go inside this one. I will go to the where lib Docker. So I am just inside the Docker with the sudo root user. Now inside that you can see there are the volumes are there. So we need to create the volumes, and now here there are the containers. So if you go and see the containers, you can see this is the one container is we have created. This is the name of the container we just created with the root user is the permission. Now as of now I will go to the volumes. first let me come out from this one. Let me clear. Now here we need to go to the volumes, and inside the volumes we have these volumes. So we need to create the volume for the SonarQube. Clear this one and I will come out. Now here we can create Docker. So write the Docker volume create --name. So the first we can create the SonarQube data, right? So we can type the directly here, and to identify we can type the SonarQube data. So one volume is created. Now you can use the same command again. So SonarQube logs you can create it, and now here we can type the plugins. So we have created the plugins. So now let me go to the Docker folder. So first go to the var lib. Inside that we have the Docker, then we have the volumes, and if I see, I can see the SonarQube data, logs and the plugins. These are the volumes we have created. So whatever plugins, logs you can see, you will find here inside this one, right? So this is the process by which we can create the SonarQube on the Docker container, and how we can access the SonarQube from the Docker container. All right, now I'm going to stop the Docker. So let me type the Docker stop. So now you can see this is the stop one and more running containers. So I already stopped the container. Okay, so we can type the service docker stop. So when you type this one, it will stopping the docker.service. It is saying the service is stopped, but it is activated by the socket. That means this Docker machine is up and running. So this will be your Docker is up and running still in the running mode. So that's why it is asking to stop this running instance. Now here this is the instance, we are in the running state. So I'm going to stop this one. Alright, so we have stopped the Docker. Now you can see the session is already stopped. So like that we can set up the Docker on the Docker for the SonarQube official image.